Hey, yum's the word, haven't you heard? The yum's the word, it was started by a bird.
My name is Robin.
And her hair has lots of curls.
Actually, I blow it out a lot.
True stories, some awkward.
Like wetting the bed next to your boyfriend.
Pretty funny and absurd.
Like your boss tickling your side boob.
So welcome all you nerds.
And cool people too. This is for everyone, except kids.
Yum's the word.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Yum's the Word. Happy Pie Day. I am Robin Gelfenbien, your host for the evening, your connoisseur, your taste bud, your butcher, your baker, your ice cream cake maker, your ice cream pioneer, here for your Gelf quarantine, your Gelf isolation, coming to you live. Everybody say it together. From a distance. I'm actually here in New York City, and I am so thrilled to have you all with us. So excited to have you here this evening. All of the proceeds from tonight's show are going to Hot Bread Kitchen. I will share a little bit more about them in just a bit. And so I wanted to know, I know there are a lot of baking people here. So if you are a baker, put a pie or a cookie or something in the chat. And if you are somebody who just likes baked goods and you'd rather buy them or you'd rather just eat what somebody else made, then put a smiley face in the chat. Would love to see that. Okay, so you might be wondering, like, what's up with all this ice cream stuff? Well, I call myself a connoisseur, and I see all these fun baked goods coming through. Awesome. Lots of bakers here. Ooh, Becky, Echo. Yum, 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 yum. I see lots of pies, lemon meringue. Awesome. So ice cream runs really, really deep in my family. My mom had a hiatal hernia when she was pregnant with me. And she started eating ice cream every single night because the doctor told her to only eat soft stuff at night. And so I feel like I got hooked on ice cream before I was even out in this world. My dad was a good humor man, and my aunt made ice cream cakes. So for the past 10 years, I've been making ice cream cakes for my live storytelling series here in New York called Yum's the Word. And I wanted to give you a little taste, or what I like to call a cake tease, and show you what some of these ice cream cakes look like. Because quite often people will say something like, oh, are they like, just basic ones like Carvel? And I'm like, no. So I just wanted to show you a couple of them. So this is obviously a fun little smiley face. I believe it was a peanut butter and chocolate one. The next one is, I made this one honestly like 9 years ago, and it's like dark chocolate and mocha and Heath bar and Oreos and crushed pretzels. So very, very decadent. And then the last one is just for fun. It's one of my favorites, a little emoji love. So, and by the way, I call all of my ice cream cakes legendary. Now, I want you to know, obviously you're going to hear some puns tonight, but what's nice about virtual shows is that if you don't like puns, I don't hear you going, I don't hear anybody who like finds them pun bearable, finds them uncomfortable. So let's see. Carvel, girl, please. Yes. Oh, thank you, Mijanu. Oh, I also forgot to show you that in the spirit of puns, this is one of my favorite aprons. Moo hot to handle. Okay, but tonight, obviously, we are doing something different in honor of Pie Day. Now, normally we do ice cream puns, but tonight we had to start from scratch for the baking puns. And thank you, Camilla. I'm glad you like my apron. By the way, got it at Cow's Creamery, which is up in Canada. So what I wanted to do is, because I am the connoisseur, and so many of you are such huge baking fans and bakers. So what I did was because I'm in the Big Apple, I got a big apple pie. And what I want to know is which of the following ice cream flavors do you think I should pair with my apple pie? I'm going to show them to you and then we're going to pull up a poll. So first we have, this one's kind of awesome. It's called Best of Both Worlds because it's got Tahitian and Madagascar vanilla bean. And anybody who knows their vanilla knows that that is some good shit. So I got this one, Best of Both Worlds vanilla, got the standard caramel apple pie. I was also able to open this jar, which is not easy. And then this one's super cool, not what you would expect. Churro dough. So it's like a brown sugar, brown butter ice cream, cinnamon. It's got a whole situation going. And listen, if you don't like ice cream, that's an option too. So Megan, why don't we pull up the poll for everybody? And I just want you all to tell me, what do you think I should pair my pie with? Oh, I love watching this. I know we'll share it in a minute because it's fun to see. Like we did on Instagram, we did like, do you prefer cake or pie? And it was like really, really neck and neck. And this is, there is a wonderful tie going on here. So we'll share that in a second. Now, it's really important for me to know, what are you eating at home? So what I want you to do is take a picture of it and tag us on social at Yums the Word Show, and we will feature some of those on our Instagram. And if you don't have social media, all good. We can see what you've got in the chat. I'll keep an eye on that too. Pizza pie. Funny, I've got some other glasses to wear tonight. So, okay, so like I said, Yums the Word is a New York City storytelling show. It's been running for 10 years. And we feature funny, true stories. And typically, we do stories on the theme that is inspired by ice cream in some way, shape, or form. So it could be like Rocky Road, stories of danger, Chubby Hubby. We might have married couples stories. And then my personal favorite is Mr. Softy. It's all awkward sex stories. And we've had like wonderful guests, some of whom you saw before the show started, like Tim Gunn and Mo Rocca and Joy Behar and just all kinds of wonderful celebrities. But we've also had like incredible everyday storyteller, everyday people who can share very powerful stories. So tonight our theme is Flower Power, as in F-L-O-U-R, Flower Power Stories. And these are slice of life stories, bite-sized baking stories. And these are all stories about how baking has changed people's lives. So the stories you're about to hear are, some of them are funny and true, and you kind of get like a full range. And if you've never been to a storytelling show before, I want to emphasize the stories you're hearing tonight are all true. So before I bring up our storytellers, Megan, let's share the results of our ice cream a la mode poll. Nobody. All right, vanilla it is. I had a feeling people might say that. So excellent. Thank you so much for weighing in on that, pun intended. Okay. And all right, so let's bring up our awesome storytellers. First, we have Richard Cardillo, who hails here from New York City. And he is, he's won the Moth like 7 times. Yeah, give or take. You may have heard him on the Moth Radio Hour or on the Moth podcast. And the Moth is a fantastic storytelling series. So thanks for being here, Richard.
Thank you so much. This is so exciting.
It is. And our second storyteller is M.J. Kang, and she is visiting us all the way from Los Angeles. She has won the Moth 3 times. She has been on PBS's Stories from the Stage, and she's an incredible actress and playwright. So welcome, MJ. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. So I've won the Moth 3 times, and I've only entered the Moth 5 times, just so you know. Wow.
Those are really good odds. I'm very, very impressed. I can't say that I have the same success rate. Some people know this, basically, when you say you've won a Moth Slam, for those of you who don't know, it's a competition. People tell stories. There's a theme, and you're judged, just like life. And I called myself the Susan Lucci of the Moth because I came in second so many times. So I applaud you. That's very impressive. So
I only do things based on batting averages.
Okay, good. So Richard, I know you did something special for Pi Day. So what did you make for it? I'm saying, what did you make for us? But because we're all gonna eat it virtually with you.
I took out the old King Arthur baking sheets that I have.
Oh.
I made a chocolate cream pie with a peanut butter crust.
Oh my God, that sounds so good.
And that looks beautiful.
It does. Richard is no slouch. And now the other thing I wanted to ask you, Richard, was you say that you named your sourdough starter.
I did.
What did you name it?
My sourdough starter's name, it's about 30 years old this year, is La Fiera. And in Spanish, that means the wild beast.
Ooh, I love it. That's awesome. And MJ, I know like when you were little that the first book you wrote, I don't know if you wrote subsequent books, but the first book you wrote had a really fun connection to tonight's theme. What is it?
Yes, it was a speech which I won the school-wide speech competition when I was 7.
She's not competitive at all.
I know, I'm so competitive. And it was called My Life as a Cookie.
Aww.
And it was all about, so I went to a Roman Catholic school, and it was all about how I was baked, eaten, and then I went through the person who ate's body, and then I went to go visit heaven, and I was accepted.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Excellent. Nestor's asking if you're a Leo, and I know that is not the case. She's like me.
I'm like Robin. Robin and I are sisters.
Yes, Capricorn sisters. Okay. All right. So let's get these stories rocking and rolling. Everybody in the chat, put all kinds of emojis together as though you were in an audience clapping it up for MJ Kang. Oh, we lost MJ.
I'm back. I didn't know if I should go on and off. Hello, I'm here. All right. In 2011, my 3-year-old daughter, Mia, she becomes interested in adding and subtracting. I hope it's a phase. She brings me flashcards, which are from a neighbor, which I had put way back in the bookcase, hoping she would never find them. And she wants to go through them with me. I say no. She keeps on bringing them over and over again like a cursed object. Finally, I agree. We sit in the hallway, and I say to her, 1 + 2 = 3. She's fascinated. I'm horrified. This is not how I want to raise my daughter. This is not how I want to be with her. I want to go to animal sanctuaries and museums and get really dirty with finger paint. I don't want to do things traditional with her, and I definitely don't want to teach her the basics like reading, writing, and math. Because I was raised where perfect wasn't good enough. I once got 102% on a spelling test, and before I even showed my mother, she said to me, next time you have to do better. And so I eventually stopped trying, because what was the point of trying to be better than perfect? And then when I had Mia, I tried to raise her in a way where she hopefully wouldn't develop my issues. And so then I asked other parents who had traumatic childhoods, what do you do when your child likes math? Bake, they said. It's real world math and it's delicious. And so Mia and I, we go to the grocery store and we buy quality ingredients. We bake. She learns. She understands multiplication, division, and fractions. And those flashcards, I donate them to Goodwill. And in our kitchen, we get messy. I love how she digs in and lets the batter gush through her fingers. And when she washes them, it clogs the sink. I need to plunge it a few times, but I never stop her. We make pie crust, cake batter, muffins, pizza dough, and cookies. We turn the whole house upside down. There's flour on the floor, flour on the walls, and flour on top of door frames. And butter, it stays exactly where you leave it, including door handles. This is what I wanted as a kid, how I wanted to be with my mother. I asked my mother once, why can't I cook or bake with you? And she told me, I wasn't allowed to bake with my mother. You learn by watching. And so I'm standing by the entrance of my parents' kitchen. I'm 7 years old, and I see my mother. She has a raspberry jelly roll cake that needs to be rolled up. So personally, I wouldn't bother rolling up the cake because it doesn't taste any better. But I want to help her. And so I ask her, may I roll it, please? And she looks at me, and I'm pleading with my eyes. In that moment, it's my one wish. And she says, no. When I become a mother, I realize I could make certain choices that could potentially heal me from my memories, and maybe I could reclaim my childhood. And so when Mia's 7 years old, I ask her if she wants to make a jelly roll cake with me. And she says, of course. So we invite her friend Danielle and her mom over. Danielle has the same birthday as my daughter, and I'm just picturing that we're going to get messy. We're going to get flour in our hair and on our nose, the four of us baking together. And on that day, I set up 2 areas in our open concept kitchen. I set up measuring cups, spoons, bowls, placemats, 1 set each for Danielle and 1 for Mia. Oh, and I also include mixing utensils because even though Mia likes to use her fingers, I like to give Danielle the option. No judgment. Whatever is fine with me. And as soon as Danielle and her mom are over, Mia and I do our thing. We wash our hands, we put on aprons, and we dig in. We measure all the wet and dry ingredients, and Mia gets her hands into the batter, and it gushes in between her fingers while Danielle watches. Her mother stands there too, doing nothing. And so I tell them, the recipe's right there. Measure the ingredients and if you get an excess amount of flour, you can just wipe it with your finger. Danielle says, I don't want to touch the flour with my finger. Who is this kid who doesn't want to touch flour? And Danielle, mom, asks me, is this something you do, make jelly roll cake? Mia, my daughter, explains, Mama likes to feed me and listen to me chew. And Danielle looks grossed out and asks if she can wash her hands. And she tells her mother, I don't want to bake anymore.
Oh.
So I tell them, you don't have to. And Mia says, yay!
Oh.
And they go off to play. And I bake the cake, but I don't roll it up because it really doesn't taste any different. And when they leave, they take all the leftovers. And that night, when I'm tucking Mia into bed, she asks me, Mama, is it gross that I like getting messy when baking? No, of course not, I tell her. And then Mia takes a breath. Mama, don't take this the wrong way. Sometimes I just want to watch you bake. But if you need me, I'll be there to mix things up for you. Oh, and I also like sifting the flour. So we don't bake anymore, which makes me kind of sad. But she's still learning by doing, and I'm happy to report that Mia's in the highly accelerated math program at her school.
Woo!
Mm-hmm.
Woo!
I mean, flashcards be damned. Mia still loves math, and I can't help but thinking baking was my secret ingredient.
Aw. Yay! These are my pizza pie glasses. I honestly, I cannot see those. So, oh, that was so beautiful, MJ. Absolutely loved it. And the other night, I wanted to just share with the audience, we were going over MJ's story, and Mia's also a phenomenal pianist. She was playing piano in the background. So MJ, you've got a really fun event that's coming up. You want to tell the crowd about it?
Yes, I am. It's going to be the second annual Women's Storytelling Festival, which Jessica Robertson has organized. Like, she's done a phenomenal job. And it's 38 or 39 storytellers. I mean, okay, so it's Women's Storytelling Festival, but it's like for everyone. You don't have to.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Right. That's great. And we've got a link for that is in the chat now. And thanks to the audience, by the way, for all the like awesome props you're giving, MJ, because it really was such a beautiful story. So mazel to you, MJ. We will see you in just a few minutes. And I wanted to share that, as I mentioned at the top of the show, all of the proceeds tonight are going to Hot Bread Kitchen. They are a nonprofit that is based right down the street from me in Brooklyn. And what's cool is that all of the ticket proceeds go to them. But in addition to that, the donations are all going to be matched by King Arthur Baking Company. So big ups to them for being so supportive of this wonderful, wonderful organization that I'm going to tell you a little bit about right now. So they create economic mobility for individuals who are disproportionately impacted by gender, racial, social, and/or economic inequality. For the past 10 years, they've provided social services, skills coaching, job placement, and entrepreneurship programming. They also use their vast connections and relationships with employers to put workers and small businesses on a path to economic security and mobility. Pretty kick-ass. And their whole goal is to expand skills, connections, or like what I like to say, connections, and life-changing opportunities for talented women and small businesses. So if you are interested in donating a little bit more to Hot Bread Kitchen, we're going to drop the link for them in just a moment, because I know sometimes people buy one ticket for like a whole household, which is great. And if you're in a position to throw a little bit more their way, we would absolutely love it. So, and something else I wanted to share is that in addition to the virtual shows that Yums the Word is doing, we are also, we have a podcast, we have a YouTube channel, so you can get like so many more stories. If tonight's not enough for you, and we're going to hear the next one in just a moment. And so I also teach storytelling. We're going to have Mo Rocca's video up this week. And so if you want to follow us on social, it's at Yums the Word Show across all what I call ice cream social media. And then if you want info on like the storytelling classes and everything else, we're going to drop a link in for that as well. Okay, so I'm so excited to bring up our next and final storyteller. You already saw him, you know him, you love him. You can keep your screen on, Richard, all good. Richard, take it away.
Thank you so much. All my life, I've been a teacher. For the last 30 years of my life, one of my calling cards as a teacher was probably knowing that I will always come to bat for my students. I meet them where they are. I listen to their stories, which is the most important thing. I've seen them in jail cells. I've seen them in juvenile detention halls. I've seen them at funerals, but I will always come to the bat for my students. And I'm very vocal about it. And I thought that was going to be my downfall. I really thought this was going to get me in trouble, the noise that I made for my students. I really thought my downfall was going to be this badassery and this brashness. What it turned out to be were my baguettes and my brownies. I'm a baker as well. I've been a baker since I was a teenager. I'm the go-to baker for my family and friends for cakes, pies, cookies, especially breads and sourdoughs. I just will bake anything. my staff loves me because I have this tradition of finding out what the birthday is, asking what their birthday cake is, and making their birthday cake special on their day. And I do that for every one of my staff members. About 7 or 8 years ago, I get this phone call from a school in the South Bronx. It was a middle school, and they were literally on life support. They were told that if they couldn't get their act together in about a year, they were going to close the doors. And I mean, it was just a dysfunctional place. There was 50% people, 50% of the students missing on any given day. There were high rates of suspensions. There was a big teacher turnover. So, it was going to be a big, tall order. I knew that if I could engage the people in that school in building these authentic relationships, something was going to happen. So I figured I can get the baking involved with my teaching at the same time. And when you have a school that's in that much trouble, where do you even start? You start with the crossing guards. They know everything. They are the eyes and ears of the neighborhood. They let me know which students needed more help, whose parents were in trouble. They let me know what's going on in a neighborhood that might have been dangerous. So I just listened to them. And every morning I'd show up with these freshly made bagels, and we'd sit and we'd kibitz for hours, and they'd love it. Soon, the word of those bagels spread like butter. And everybody wanted in on the action. First, the custodians, and they started coming to see me. Then the security guards, and finally the teachers. And they started attending my workshops and my trainings where I was teaching them what they already knew, how to build these authentic relationships with students. And the school started turning around. This death spiral stopped. And within 8 months, the goal was to get down suspension rates by 50%, especially for boys of color. They were the ones that were being disproportionately affected by all these suspension rates. And in 8 months, we got that rate to 75% reduction. We went up to 90% attendance. The school was in this turnaround, and they did it all. I just looked on. They did it all. I couldn't believe the progress they were making. The district superintendent of the Bronx reaches out to me, and she said, I would love for you to present at the Chancellor's Day for all of the superintendents in the whole city to explain. And I said, with the caveat that I can do this with the people from the school. So she got the approval, and I was going to present. And the assistant to the chancellor comes out with a letter to all the superintendents, an email saying, Richard Cardillo will present about the turnaround of this school. And the Bronx superintendent, by accident, pushes reply all.
Uh-oh.
And she puts in an answer that says, you are gonna love Richard. His snickerdoodles are the crack cocaine of the NYC DOE. So addictive. Ha, ha. I couldn't believe it. I do the workshop. It was a success. About a week after that, I get a letter to my desk from certified mail, and my boss gets one too. Dear Richard Cardillo, when it was from the New York City Department of Ed, we are giving you formal notice that we are going to be investigating the baked goods that you seem to be bringing to schools. Please show up for a meeting. I'm like, what is going on here? This is crazy. I show up for the meeting. I sit down, and they're like, okay, Mr. Cardillo, we have it from a source that you are baking illicit things for these schools. I said, no, not at all. They said, please, could you level with us? What are you putting in your baked goods? I said, nothing at all. They said, well, if you come clean and tell us your sources, it will help. I said, well, King Arthur flour. And they're like, no, we don't mean that. What kind of sources? We want names. So I said, well, I follow the blog of PJ Hamill and Sue Reed and Sue Gray, took a class by Jeff Hamilman at King Arthur. No, we don't want that. We want the sources of what you're putting in. I said, there is nothing. They finally let me go. I go back to the school the next day, and all of that news is spreading. And the custodian comes up to me and he said, some of the gang members in the school said, if you give them the name of your sources, they will give you money. I'm like, there are no sources. There's no sources. There's nothing in there. 1 week after that, the chancellor comes out with an edict, a stipulation. It comes out, a regulation 8-105 that says, from this point forward, no baked goods can be sold or distributed in any schools in the NYC DOE.
Oh.
Not because of me, who the hell knows? But I even made noise about that. I said, why don't you just give them phys ed and stop taking away baked goods from them? That's not going to work. Do you know something? That was about 8 years ago. And finally tonight, I have to come clean. Was I putting stuff in those baked goods? Yes, I was. I was putting heaping cupfuls of tender loving care into every one of those cakes. I was putting overflowing tablespoons of empathy and equity and resilience and love. And I learned such an important message that breads, cakes, cookies, and pies, that's what's going to change the world. Thank you.
Yay! Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Such a beautiful story. And look at all the love you're getting in the chat, Richard. Before I talk to you real quick about your story, I do want to justify my donut glasses. My sister is a math teacher, and she told me that pie refers to anything that's circular. And since donuts are circular, I felt like it's completely appropriate, but also not easy to read what I need to see. So such a beautiful story, Richard. Thank you so much for sharing that. Stick around for just a second. So I know that you have some experience with Hot Bread Kitchen. Can you tell us real quick about that?
They are such a wonderful group. They are doing everything that needs doing to bring equity and empowerment to women, especially immigrant women at the beginning. And I have supported them for the last 8 or 9 years, buying their products and also supporting them because they are turning around lives.
So great. So great. Well, if you want more of Richard, and who doesn't, you can follow him on social at Richard Cardillo. And I also wanted to just point out to everybody that, so we'll put that in the chat. He's on all social media at Richard Cardillo. One more time for Richard. Give him some love, everybody in the chat. Thanks so much, Richard. I'll see you in just a few. And just wanted to, I forgot to point this out to our audience here. And Richard, if you could turn off your camera, that'd be great.
Sorry.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. It's how things roll around here. So I wanted to just show you that I've been eating ice cream, which, by the way, is like the best thing to eat when you are also watching a show because it doesn't disturb anybody. But I have these magic spoons. As you can see, the ice cream makes my spoon change color. And then it goes back to pink, sort of. Okay, so we are going to wrap this up in just a moment. And yes, absolutely, Carrie, such great stories. So now if you're interested in checking out more Baker's stories, you can find a whole bunch on King Arthur's website. And we're going to put a link to that in the chat in just a second. And even though I tend to tell, I actually tell a lot of funny true stories myself. Tonight, I am just hosting and keeping things moving for you, but I wanted to let you know if you are interested in seeing me review some fun ice cream on TikTok. I'm also hosting a show on Clubhouse, if anybody's a Clubhouse user. It's called Late Night Snacking. I've got like a whole food theme going. I only do stuff that's like food with entertainment. Some of you know I used to drive the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile, so you know you got to keep the this food going. So you can follow me on Instagram at Robin.Gelfenbien, and then if you're interested in seeing all the other ways you can find me, my stories and other funny videos that I'm doing, I do very fun videos with my aunt. She's a pistol. We're going to drop a Linktree link there as well. So there are so many people who I need to thank for making tonight possible. This was such an incredible event. I hope you all had so much fun. And I need to, you can applaud all throughout the chat. I've got a number of people who I owe so much gratitude to for tonight. So first off, huge thank you to Bill Tyne, Ben Rapson, Carrie Underwood, Megan Deneen, Sam Hacker, Zach Schusterman, Carly Patrone, Eric Scheuer, Colleen Hinesley, Regina Stoops, Danny Artis, Beth Schiff, Rachel Berger. I feel like I should be like putting on different glasses. Jillian Elbaum, Paolo Pazia, Megan Finnerty, Michael Tyne, Mindy Stockfield, my sister Jill Gelfenbien, my other sister Lori Shabbat, Jake Cohen, Aaron McDowell, Liz Merrick, and absolutely everyone at King Arthur Baking Company have all had a huge hand in making tonight possible. And we would be absolutely nothing without our phenomenal storytellers. And so if we can bring MJ and Richard back on the stage. So MJ, Richard, thank you so much. You were so great. It was an honor to share the virtual stage with you. So follow them for more if you want to see. We're all doing shows all the time, and hopefully we'll get to see you IRL. For those of you of a certain age, that means in real life soon. And thank you to our wonderful audience. You were so great in the chat. If you want to follow the Yums the Word Show Instagram, you'll see all kinds of fun highlights from tonight's show. And I hope that I get to see you again soon, IRL, virtually, whatever. Happy Pi Day. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, MJ. Have a great night. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yum's the word,